Hi, everybody, and welcome to the League of Women Voters first candidate forum of the 2020 general election. My name is Andy Poley, and I am the current president of your local League of Women Voters. Just a quick few reminders and important information before we get started. Mail-in ballots go out on September 25th. You can request a mail-in ballot through October 24th from the Supervisor of Elections office. There will be several secure ballot drop-off boxes throughout the county. Early voting starts on October 19th. There will be 5 locations for early voting, the same 5 locations there were in the last election for the primaries. Election day itself is November 3rd. To learn more about all the candidates, visit our online voter guide at vote411.org. The questions that appear on Vote 411 are different than the ones that you'll hear this evening. So please visit the website. You'll also learn about the 6 amendments that will be on your ballot. Tonight, we're going to hear from candidates or a candidate from that are running for Fort Pierce Commission Districts 1 and 2. We're going to begin with District 1. And the format for both of tonight's forums will consist of a 90-second introduction by each candidate, followed by a series of questions. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer each question. If time allows, Facebook viewers can pose questions by commenting below, and we will present those to the candidates. The candidates will then give a 2-minute closing statement. The order of candidates right now is we have 1 candidate in the room, and so that candidate will go first until the second candidate is capable of joining us, and then they will go second. So we had no coin toss this time around. This is not a debate, so should we have 2 candidates, we will not invoke one another in this discussion. This is answer the question, state your opinion, and we'll move on to the next candidate or question. Candidates will be alerted at 30 seconds and when their time is up. Our moderator for the forums is again Carol Wyatt. Carol is the co-owner and operator of local radio stations WPSL in Port St. Lucie, WSTU in Stewart, and WJNX in Fort Pierce. She's the president of WPSL's Christmas Kids of St. Lucie County, past president of the Rotary Club, and a member of the Port St. Lucie Businesswomen. Carol has many years in broadcasting as a reporter in Los Angeles prior to moving to Florida in 1993. And we are, of course, honored to have her yet again as our moderator. Her professionalism is so greatly appreciated. So now I'm going to turn it over to Carol.
Well, thank you, Andy, and welcome everyone to another round of League of Women Voters of St. Lucie County Candidate Forums. We thank the members of the League for putting together all the questions for us. We thank the candidates for participating, and also we thank all of the people listening and watching for taking the trouble to inform yourselves in what has been a very challenging year. Now, tonight, the race for Fort Pierce City Commission, District 1, it is for a term of 4 years. It's representing roughly the northern half of the city, and you have to live in the district to vote for the District 1 City Commissioner. Our candidates are the incumbent, Reggie Sessions, and Curtis Johnson Jr. Now, Curtis Johnson Jr. is with us. Reggie Sessions may join us, but we begin with opening statements. Mr. Johnson.
Well, thank you, Carol, and thank you to the League of Women Voters again for allowing this great opportunity. The last time we were together, Carol, you were celebrating a birthday, and more importantly, we were gearing up for the primary elections. And since then, we had a crowded field in August, and that has been narrowed down to 2 people. I'm Curtis Johnson Jr. I'm vying for your vote in District 1, Seat 3. Born and raised Fort Pierce, product of the public school systems here, graduated Fort Pierce Central in 1985. Furthered my education at Florida A&M University, where I also earned a master's degree in marketing and spent 25 years in corporate America working for some of the larger Fortune 100, Fortune 500 companies, leading, developing teams, and making sure that everyone understood the vision and mission that we were on. So I transitioned to now in my community that I was born and raised to do the same. I'm looking to elevate the vision of the people of the Northwest Lincoln Park area to make sure they understand what it is, see themselves participating in it, and understanding what we must begin to do now to get ourselves prepared for it. There are going to be tremendous opportunities coming for growth, tremendous opportunities coming to earn income and livable wages. We need to make sure that we're prepared for that, the workforce that is, and that the workforce that is to come, our younger generation, to make sure that we're invested in them now. And more importantly, you know, the leadership to be able to work with fellow commissioners, to be able to work with city staff and those that actually are carrying out the mission on a day in and day out basis. And with that leadership and community engagement and a partnership, I ask for your vote, starting with early balloting that will come out this weekend. Again, Curtis Johnson, Jr.
Okay, and our first question then to Mr. Johnson. The COVID-19 pandemic is still active. We're moving into cold and flu season. If you are elected, you will likely need to make decisions about the health and safety of your constituents. How do you propose ensuring that all Fort Pierce citizens are safe and have adequate health care to manage the long-term effects of the health crisis?
Well, I think we need to immediately begin to look at our budget modeling to make sure that we can model out some different scenarios of things that we may have to encounter. For instance, how do we begin to access funds to do more testing into the areas? I think that we're going to need to make sure we have adequate testing, to make sure we notify people of the status, to have supplies, PPEs ready, as well as being able to hand out masks if needed, as well as any other sanitary type things we can do to provide a safe and workable environment. We're still trying to open our economy. That's going to be important, but we also must understand that we're going to need to probably continue testing, making sure people are adequately aware. We have our young people back in schools now. We have athletics going on. So there's a number of things that we will have going on. We just need to make sure that we're keeping our eye on the ball as far as testing and notifying people so that they can make adequate decisions.
Okay, our second question. As a result of the pandemic, many citizens are now and will continue to face increased financial hardships. This will inevitably impact tax revenue. How do you propose addressing more need with less money?
Well, we're going to have to be fiscally conservative in a lot of different ways. Again, I mentioned the modeling aspect. You know, we're going to have to get with our financial budget and begin to look at the model to begin to look at different scenarios of what ifs, as I call them, and model that out. So if we know that revenues are going to be down, let's say by 2-3%, let's begin to take those proactive steps now to see what we can do to prepare for that. We may have to get very creative from a budget standpoint. The city has been very judicious in the past in making sure there's some reserves there. We have to make sure that we can continue that and cut where we can, but still provide the essential services for the citizens of the community. But we must, and I must stress again, we must begin the financial modeling process of what if scenarios and model that out so that we can look at this and begin to prepare and look at these different scenarios that we may have to take and then begin informing the citizens. That's another thing. We have to get their partnership on this. And lo and behold, you know, things happen. There may be some generous people of the community that may be able to help shore up some of our areas of shortfall. And we have to look for those creative partnerships. So I would be wholeheartedly steadfast in moving toward that type of scenario immediately to begin to brace for what may be a longer pandemic than we anticipated.
How will you work with police and communities to foster trust, reduce crime, ensure safety, and develop a more cooperative relationship between officials and citizens?
So I'm a firm supporter of the Chief of Police, Diane Hobley-Burney. I think that everything that I have learned and understand about her and her leadership and things that she's looking to bring to the community are things that I'm aligned with. I'm looking to learn more and be more of a participant and understanding things at a police department, what those challenges are, and more importantly, what the citizens' concerns are. Since I've been out campaigning, there are a number of citizens that have approached me that actually want to see more community policing and get to know the police officers to help partner with them to solve some of these challenges in our community. And we need them. We need the partnership of the community. So anything that I can do literally from participating in citizen academies, from participating in ride-alongs, from having roll calls to make sure that I'm talking to the officers, because I was born and raised here. I understand a lot of these city blocks that we have to patrol. And sometimes we need to make sure that the police officers that protect and serve us understand that there are citizens out here that want that partnership. And anything that I can do to help connect the police department with citizens, with groups, with organizations of this community, I'm going to do it, because we need that partnership. We're gonna need that partnership with the chief and her administration to come out and partner with these community partners to move forward. And I fully support that.
Next question. The effects of climate change are projected to significantly impact Florida and its shores. These impacts can hit lower socioeconomic areas harder than others. How will you ensure environmental justice for the citizens of your district?
Well, you know, the environment protects us all. And we all, that's the one thing we all have in common. And we need clean air to breathe. We need great, safe drinking water. A lot of our citizens rely on the benefits of being on the ocean and all of the wonderful benefits and foods that come out of the ocean that we all enjoy. And so we're going to need that. And to sustain that, you know, we're going to make sure we do everything to protect that. Climate change is something that I believe in. I understand our science behind it. I welcome that. And anything that we can do to still live but preserve our economy for future generations to come, partnering with the younger generations and younger people in the community now to help them understand and be good stewards of the community, I'm all for it. We have one planet. And we have to sustain this planet, and my grandchildren and great-grandchildren have to sustain this planet and be a part of it. And so anything that we can do, our little part here in St. Lucie, Fort Pierce, that we can do to continue to provide for a clean climate and not damage it so that it continues to provide for us, I fully support.
In your opinion, are there areas of Fort Pierce that need more attention and support than other areas, and why?
Yeah, absolutely. The Lincoln Park area is an area that I know fondly. I love it. I live in this particular area. There are a lot of great people in this community that's doing a lot of great things in this community. From organizations and partnerships and working with the youth in this area to even working with the homeless and the mentally ill in this area. There are a lot of great organizations that take that step forward. This area needs an economic stimulus. And one of the things that I would always champion is how can we find those business opportunities that's looking for the partnership, that's looking for great areas to bring their companies, and more importantly, great opportunities to provide those livable wage jobs for our community. That there are people here that are looking for these types of opportunities that want to transition from rental to home ownership. And we're going to need livable wage jobs to be able to do that. And so, you know, we have a great amount of space here, vacant space now. I would love to see not only retail spaces come in, but livable wage job opportunities, maybe small, light manufacturing. Maybe we look at some of the more advanced technological type, clean energy type jobs that we may be able to provide here that could really benefit from a great labor force. And the more of these types of opportunities that we can find and bring into this area would be fantastic, because as we know, as incomes go up, livable wage comes up, everything else tends to go down, and crime goes down, the cost of living will pretty much neutralize, and people will become homeowners and putting things on tax rolls, which will bolster the city's economy.
Fort Pierce has an above average citizens in poverty level for citizens of comparable size. The economic and employment impacts of the pandemic are certain to increase this statistic. How do you plan to address the number of citizens living in poverty?
Well, through these creative partnerships. Yeah, it's 7 out of 10 over in this particular area that I live in this zip code 34950. It's pretty high. 47 is right behind that, probably about 6 out of 10. I think we begin to work ourselves out of this. We have to invest in our young people. We have to begin to provide those opportunities for the young people that want to create a livable wage here in Fort Pierce, put them in those trades and crafts and opportunities of trade craft jobs that can provide a livable wage. You know, when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about the industrial works like electricity and AC repair, maybe some of the construction type jobs that would provide a livable wage. And I think we need to begin to help our young people understand those pathways, get them involved so that those that don't want to pursue college or four-year degrees after that and eventually probably leave our area, we want to be able to provide a stable economy here for those young people and begin to get them interested in those jobs now by helping them understand what a plumber makes. You know, nobody understands what a plumber makes until you have to call a plumber. And those are great jobs, and there's going to be a shortage of those jobs coming up. And we need to make sure that those that want those types of livable wage jobs understand what they pay, understand the training that they need to get, and we need to help them do that. That's one way that we work ourselves out of the poverty situation we're in, by providing those types of opportunities and career pathways to people in this community.
Okay, next question. In your opinion, what are the most urgent problems facing District 1 at this time?
Urgent problems is economics. Economic is the engine that's going to drive anything else that may be second. Some people may say the crime rates or things that occur in this area. And I would caution us to say that there are no higher drastic crime areas than some of the other areas. There's crime all over right now. Some is overreported, some's underreported. But more importantly, we have to be careful with how we paint our city because we want people to come in and invest in the community. We don't want to get labeled as that particular city that has a crime problem. We want to begin to attract those businesses and business owners to come to our particular area. So for me, it's economics. It really is trying to drive that engine of how do we get the people focused on what those opportunities are. How do we get them prepared? How do we get them into these jobs so that they can invest in themselves and invest in the community and see themselves as homeowners? That's how we're going to begin to work ourselves out of this situation.
And following up on that, if a corporation with numerous high-paying skilled positions was looking to relocate or expand, what benefits of Fort Pierce would you highlight to convince them to move here?
Well, quite a few. So it really kind of starts with who's at the top of the food chain. So you would kind of, if a CEO is a family guy, we have great schooling systems here. We have great weather. We have great recreational potential and opportunities here. All those great climates for a great family lifestyle in a community that's not overrun with a lot of traffic, but one that will support those businesses looking to come in here. And then we also have to help them understand the amount of resources that are here. We have a great college system here with the Indian River State College. Our schooling system is constantly growing and continuously gaining those recognitions as being a school system that graduates the graduates here. We're beginning to put programming in place to train and educate the young people in those emerging fields that's coming, like technology. And so what company wouldn't want to come into a community that they can help shape and move forward with their creative thinking and resources that they would bring to the area? So I see that as a great partnership. And I think whoever we get to come in here, we have to make sure they understand it's exactly that. It's a partnership. And the things that they bring, the things that we already have, when you put those things together, it makes for a great opportunity. The cost of burden of bringing those organizations here is lower than maybe some of the other areas. And so we want to make sure we're doing all these things to make sure our entry point of barrier is lower and that we welcome them and appreciate them coming to the Fort Pierce area.
And I think I saw a question from our Facebook Live audience. Let me see here. Okay, the Lincoln Park area is referred to as a food desert. What ideas do you have for attracting more full-size grocery stores to the area?
So a couple things impact that. I've heard that, and there are a number of organizations that have begun to address that by providing some nourishment and opportunity for the lower economic areas to have access to those types of products. I'm thinking of like the Up Store that's over there. They do have fresh vegetables, etc. We need to help ourselves there too, Carol. One of the issues that I'm challenged with is our census numbers are not where they need to be. And one of the things as a person that's aspiring to try to be an elected official, we need support from the people to help us tell our story better. Our census numbers right now say that we're about a 40% response rate in the same zip code that this person is asking me about. And the issue that I have is that coupled with what that data is telling us does not make it attractive for any type of business opportunity to come in, because the first thing they want to look at is what's the return on investment. And we have to understand that this is a part of how we tell the story. You mentioned earlier that, the poverty level is very high in the 3495 zip code as well as the 34947 zip code. That tells a story we don't need to have amplified. What we need to have amplified here is that we have people here, we have a stable economy that can sustain these stores coming in here, and then we need to get the people to respond and help us tell that story so that we can petition the federal government, petition these other companies to take that chance and come into our area to provide the resource that this citizen is asking me about.
Okay, and we have another question from our Facebook Live audience. What is your favorite part of Fort Pierce?
The part that I live in. I was born and raised in the Lincoln Park area. I'm 2 blocks from Lincoln Park, literally, and I'm 2 blocks from Garden City. When I walk through my neighborhood, it's the memories. It's the memories of childhood friends. It's the memories of my teachers that used to live across the street from me. It's the people that nurtured me and raised me in this community. And I literally still see that, Carol, when I walk through my neighborhood, when I ride through my neighborhood. It's fond memories. And I want to see that returned. There are a lot of great parts to Fort Pierce. There are a lot of parts that I don't know. Some areas that have grown, some areas that have changed. But literally, there's nothing like home, and there's nothing like me walking 2 blocks here, 4 blocks there, and being able to recollect fond memories of just good, hardworking citizens that they raised families. We played in the streets as kids, and I want to see some of that return. I want to see people in homes. I want to see people sitting on their porches in their yards having family barbecues. That's my favorite part, and I see some of it now. I want to see more of it right here in these blocks that I live in.
Okay, let's see if we have any other questions. Apparently we've come to the end of our questions. So we are now at the closing ceremonies. Mr. Johnson.
Yeah, well, thanks once again to the League of Women Voters. This election really comes down to where do you see and what would you like to see in your city commissioner? I'm vying on the platform that I will come out no matter who you are, where you are. Curtis Johnson will meet with you. I take no situation for granted. I am always looking to connect with people and partner with people and organizations, and I will show up. I will partner with the community. If you're looking for a city commissioner that will show up, that will listen, that will propose legislation and work with the citizens of the community, and you're looking for a change from what you've seen for the past 20 years, I'm asking for your vote. I'm a citizen of this community. I'm a product of this community. Everything that I've been able to achieve started right here in these blocks of the Lincoln Park area. I'm a living testimony that it is possible. And you don't have to go to college. You don't have to do what I've done, but you can have a great life. And I want to try to help partner and help create the pathways for that great life right here in Fort Pierce. We only have so much time on this earth. I want to see this community restored to laughter and fun and growth and home ownership. And I'm looking and asking for your vote, starting with mail-in ballots that'll be going out later this week, to vote for Curtis Johnson Jr. I'm from the fort, I'm for the fort, and I will show up to whoever and wherever you ask to make sure that we have a chance to interact, and I understand where you're coming from and you understand where I'm coming from, and more importantly, how we work together for the betterment of this community.
Thank you. The closing statement from Mr. Johnson. We want to mention too, the incumbent in the race, Reggie Sessions, invited this evening, was not able to make it, but the two will be running for, it's a Fort Pierce City Commission, District 1. And thank you certainly for being here this evening. Andy?
Thank you, Carol, and thank you, Mr. Johnson, for joining us this evening. It was nice to see you again after having this. We did the same thing with the primary, so it was nice to have you back. Thank you to all of our viewers that have watched Mr. Johnson answer our questions. They're varied and they're well-informed questions, so now you're well-informed voters. We are sad that Mr. Sessions couldn't join us this evening, but we do encourage everyone to go to Vote 411. You can learn more about both candidates at that location. We're also going to print a voter's guide. It should come out sometime in October. There are 6 amendments on your ballot. The League of Women Voters is offering free virtual education, free education series that is conducted virtually. If you just go to our Facebook page, you can see notifications of it, or go to our website to register, and then you can learn all about these amendments before you go to vote. Don't forget to do your census. Mail-in ballots go out on the 25th. Early voting starts on the 19th of October, and Election Day is November 3rd. Thank you all for joining us. We'll be back at 8:30 for District 2. We hope to see you then. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.